Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review of the HGUC EWAC Jegan, and this is a premium Bandai kit. It is a variation of the original HGUC Jegan, this time in the EWAC form. It is from Gundam Unicorn series. It was very briefly featured in that series. It was cool to see it on screen, though. We haven't really seen, in all of the Gundam universes in different series, we haven't really seen the EWAC variations actually appear on screen very often, although a few of them do exist in the different series. Probably one of my favorites would be the EWAC Nero. That's probably a long ways off from ever happening. We've got to get just a regular Nero first, I would say. But this one I do quite like a lot as well. It's definitely a really cool variation of the Jegan. I like it for sure. Now, as you can see here, I have put a lot of the stickers on there, more than I usually do. That there's still a lot left that you can put on. I did get creative with some of them as well. Some of the markings, they just kind of give you extras, and they just tell you that you can use them wherever. So you'll see on here in a bit that I did get a little bit creative with those, especially on the top, kind of doing a big cluster of all of the markings and everything. You'll see when you can see the top of the head. But of course, its main feature is going to be that very big boombox that it's got for a head. But that, of course, is just a very large sensor unit. And then you can see some very interesting armaments that it's got on its arms. I just chose to keep those on there just from the start. Usually, I like to give you guys a look at the kits here at the start without any armaments on, but considering those are just kind of like very important parts of the entire mobile suit's design, I decided to keep those on here. So on the left arm, that would be a sensor unit, and also I think that's like the laser instrument that it uses to relay information back to the allied ships. And then on the right arm, that would be a camera unit. So that would be obviously for recording videos and photographs or whatever. So it's a specialized reconnaissance mobile suit, but it does have plenty of weapons included with this kit as well. And you have got a fair amount of extra stuff that you'll be able to use with some other kits and things like that. A handful of leftover parts, or a couple handfuls of leftover parts that you can use for doing other different custom kit bashes and things like that as well. So this is actually my first time ever building an HGUC Jegan, or any Jegan for that matter, considering that really there are only HGUC versions at this point. But the Master Grade is coming out, so it's a good reason to celebrate. But yeah, there's a few different versions of the Jegan that are just standard release, and then there's more than a few variations of the Jegan that are P-Bandai. I just have never really got any of them until now, and I really did enjoy this kit, so I'll definitely have to build a couple more. Actually, that said, I do have a couple of them that I just haven't built yet. I have the original one, and I have the Echoist type Jegan, which I just haven't built. Okay, so let's briefly talk about the stickers. Now there is some like shiny gold stickers here, which you can see for the visor, for the camera there on the top of the head, and then for these lining bits going around the front, the side here, and then on the back. Those are all gold foil stickers there. A big green sticker here. This is probably the biggest sticker on it, this big green sticker covering this section on the back, which you actually stick a decal marking sticker on top of that, which is fun. Then we have one more foil sticker here for this crotch piece that is just molded all in green here. So you have that to give you the gray and white definition there. And then on the front of the sensor arm, we have a sticker here, which is gray, as well as this kind of metallic shiny pink in there for that little bit. And then another sticker here on this side on the top there, gray with the little bits of yellow in there for the top of this camera. Now for the main lens of the camera here, we have a separate sticker, which I haven't used yet because I'll keep this. This is kind of a really extra nice one. I'll keep this and use this for the actual finished kit once I've painted it. I didn't want to stick it on there now, and then it's kind of like hard to actually stick it on there again after the kit's painted. So just know that you do have this really, really nice sticker here included for that camera as well. And then, as I said, I didn't use all of the marking stickers. There are still plenty of marking stickers on here that I haven't used up yet, some numbers and all of that. But I've stuck a bunch all around on the kit. They don't look too bad because most of the kit is in a very light color plastic, and as long as you're sticking those stickers on top of light color plastic, they don't look bad at all. We got the nice little kind of yellow dots, kind of yellow squares there. As I said, on the top of the head, I got a little crazy with that, sticking all this stuff on there, but it didn't seem too crazy, and just some nice markings and everything's all around. So sticker is actually not too bad for this kit if you want to use those. They do definitely help the kit look very cool. Now let's talk about the articulation while I've got them here. The head is not going to move at all. It's all just molded together. Actually, the back of the head is actually molded together with this whole big thing, and that's just is not going to move. Up, down, left, right, that's not going to move at all. That said, I think the head does look really cool there, and with this white little piece on there, just the shape of everything looks nice. It's just not going to move around and look anywhere. And then here in the waist section, it does rotate side to side. If you kind of pull that up off the polycap a little bit, you can get a little bit of a bend there, which is kind of nice. These flaps that cover the front and back of the shoulders will move up and down a little bit to kind of help you with some shoulder articulation. That said, the shoulders are going to be, of course, a little bit inhibited by this big thing going on top of the head. You can bring the arm up to about 90 degrees, but this big sensor thing here on the arm is getting in the way of that. That said, even with these front little panels on there, you can still bring up the arm pretty high up to there, revealing this very nice seam line here thanks to the original Jegan kit. That's not very cool. Big seam line right through the center of the shoulder armor as well. Most of that's covered up by the head, but you can see there's a seam line running right through these vents here on the shoulder. That's pretty annoying as well. Otherwise, the arm is pretty standard. Rotation there at the top, and then a bend here in the elbow, giving you just a little bit more than 90 degrees, but not too much. The wrist is just on a ball joint, and as you can see, I've just got the two holding hands on the kit. We do have one other hand option, but it's pretty minimal in terms of our options for the hands. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. No front skirts, so no front skirt articulation at all. Side skirts will go up and down a little bit like so. On the back, again, no back skirts here either. On the backpack, nothing of that moves, except for, I guess you could maybe count this little bit of movement of this main thruster bell, but that is pretty minimal. I do like the asymmetry of the side skirts though. We have the grenades on this side and then the beam saber on this side. Those are kind of a couple of its very few limited weapons that it does use canonically. The whole hip joint itself will swing side to side like so, but the legs themselves are just connected on there via ball and socket joints, so they're not really going to rotate that much, unfortunately. It's also going to limit the width that they're able to spread out, and it's only going to be able to spread to about there, not very wide, unfortunately. As you can see on the side of the thigh, another seam line there. I think that one could very easily be turned into a panel line and look very convincing. Here on the leg, it's also pretty good. We have kind of a seam layer there and there, but I think those could also just kind of be passed off as panel lines. Not really too big of a deal. Nothing too bad here on the back of the leg as well. This top section here is actually meant to be a panel line, but the bottom section is just a seam line that technically should be removed. But again, it's going to be up to you. Nice detail there of the thruster bell sticking out at the back of the foot though as well. Up underneath the feet while we're here, some nice detail there. Full details, no hollow gaps or anything. Back around to the knee, we do have a double joint, but it's only going to give you about to there. It's pretty good. It's definitely more than 90 degrees, and by the fact that there's no front skirts, you can definitely get the leg up pretty high like that. But it is still not the best knee bend in the world. Nice detail with the vent here on the side of the leg, but it's not color separated, so you have to paint that. That's just from the original Jegan, so that's been there since 2009. The foot itself will move side to side there at the ankle. That's pretty nice. Up and down. Up is pretty well. Down, not so much. And unfortunately, the foot is just all one piece, so there's no bend there in the toes or anything. That said, for a kit that you'd think would have trouble standing up because of this big thing on its head, those huge feet definitely help with the balance, and it's able to stand up just fine, so that's nice. So let's talk about some of the extra parts that you have with this kit. We have almost all the parts you need to make a couple different heads. I think the regular head as well as the EWAC type Jegan head. Really all you're missing is just the visor pieces for these. So we have just some parts for those. If you're able to have some extra visor pieces or just kind of make one, you could just like mold something in using epoxy putty there just to make it look like a visor. You then would just have to paint it in some metallic color to make it look convincing. But you have most of the parts for that. You have a whole bunch of other leftover parts, different random parts for a few different things. One more other noteworthy part that you have with this is this part here for the EWAC type. I think this is like the EWAC type front chest armor. Basically all you'd have to do to use this is instead of putting this white part in here, you just put this part on here instead, and you could have a little bit more armored up looking version of this if you wanted to use that. But getting on to the other regular accessories for the kit now, here's our only other hand option for the kit is this one trigger finger hand for the right hand. With the regular Jegan shield, which is nice, and then you've got little white bits in there. This will just connect onto the arm, but again, obviously you're not really going to be able to attach this onto the arm with what's actually going on here. So you just have a nice accessory that you can use for just some other kit bash or something if you want. We have the original Jegan beam rifle here, which is pretty nice, but then we have the new beam rifle for this kit, which is just a little bit different variation on that. I do like both of them quite a bit. The new one doesn't have any articulation or anything. It seems like this handle might be able to move, but it doesn't. There's also no sticker for the camera for that, strangely. But I think there is enough in the in-between space where you could just cut a little square out of that gold there from the foil sticker sheet and stick that on here for the camera if you wanted to do that. When not in use, this is meant to just be plugged here onto the back skirt, just plugged onto there like so, and that just works very nicely. Of course, if you take out that beam saber handle from the side skirts, you've got your beam saber, and then here are the effect parts for that, one short and one long. And then we've got our two different bazookas for this kit now. These are just leftover parts again. I think one is from the original Jegan. I think it's this one, I believe. And then one is from the EWAC type Jegan. If I'm correct, there's just so many variations. It's hard to keep track. But Both of them are quite nice here. The handle does move back and forth for easy handling of that. Just nice details all around. Really cool, interesting shape of that. Very just simple, utilitarian look. The other one just going to be slightly different. The handle on this one does also move as well. This one has a secondary handle on there also. A nice little camera bit there on the top. No stickers again or anything on that, but I'm sure you could just cut out a little bit of sticker for that. Wouldn't be a big issue. So as you can see, the articulation is not terrible, but it's not the greatest either. It's pretty just okay all around. What's really going to be a killer though is just the lack of any head movement there. So while you can move the body around in different ways, with the head just kind of stuck in one position, it kind of takes a lot of the personality out of any particular pose that you could get this kid in. So unfortunately, you know, I'll try my best here to do a couple of poses here with this for you guys, but in the end, I think this is just going to be one of those kits that you just kind of have just standing there looking really cool. And that it definitely does. It definitely looks really cool just standing there, but I think it's not really going to be one of the kits that's going to be, you're going to be able to pose very like super dynamically just because of the limitations of the articulation and just the limitation of not being able to move the head at all. That's going to be pretty detrimental to the ability to do anything too crazy or too cool in terms of getting this in some sort of action pose. That also just because it's just not really an action mobile suit. It's just a reconnaissance mobile suit. Now, I'm sure it may have had times where it would come into contact with enemies and have to use those weapons that it does have, but more often than not, it's just kind of chilling out, so it's not too big of a loss. As far as any negatives of the kit, yeah, there are a couple of annoying stickers, but those seem like areas that will be pretty easy to mask for the most part, so not really too bad in terms of the stickers. With it being a high grade based off of a high grade from 2009, that's really not too bad, I think. And then in terms of seam lines, as you saw, there's a few annoying seam lines, but still overall nothing really too terrible. And again, it is a high grade, and it is a high grade from 2009, so with all of that considered, it's really not too bad in terms of seam lines either. So really, the biggest problem, I guess, with this kit, if you're going to count anything, would just be the articulation, as I just got finished talking about. And that, again, is really only going to be an issue depending on what you're hoping to get out of the kit. If you go into having the kit knowing about that problem and it not being an issue for you, then you're not going to be disappointed with this kit at all. If that's something that you really wanted out of this kit, then that's going to be something that you are probably going to be a little bit disappointed about. You could always do things to fix that, to improve the articulation. That's always a possibility. But just straight out of the box, you might be disappointed if you were planning on doing some acrobatics with this thing or something. So really, all in all, pros and cons considered, I am really happy with this kit. Like I said, it's not very often that we get kits like this to come out. I believe, if I'm thinking back, that this may be the very first EWAC kit that we've ever actually got from Bandai. I guess there's the Isaac, that's a Xeon mobile suit, but there is that, I suppose. But as far as Federation mobile suits, this is a first that I can remember. So that is that uniqueness to it that I really like, and it's just a really cool design. Pretty solid kit for sure. The colors are fine. I'm going to be painting the kit eventually anyway, but if you are just going to stick to the out-of-box colors here, I think those are also pretty nice. The two-tone green and gray and white just makes for a pretty cool color scheme, I think. So if you like what you see and you can get this kit at a good price, it's definitely worth picking up, I would say. If you guys do still have any other questions or comments, of course, you can leave those down below. And again, just thank you to USA Gundam Store for sponsoring the review. Thank you to you guys for watching. And with the announcement of the Master Grade Jegan coming out later this year, I figure I might as well get around to reviewing the other HGUC Jegan kits that I have here on hand. So sometime in the near future, expect to see a review of these other Jegans here as well. The regular Jegan, the ECOS type, and the prototype Stark Jegan. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store, use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10, save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.